Welcome back to a new video. This time it's no hardware stuff or anything, it's software. One of my major hobbies for the last decades has been the MSX. And this year the MSX turns 40. I want to show the folks that don't have a real MSX or a Mister or anything that can simulate or reproduce the actual MSX. I want to show you how you can emulate the MSX, then create virtual hard drives, place disk images and ROM images on those hard drives, put programs on there that can run those games without using Windows interfaces, and then use Sunrise IDE for BlueMSX, also on openMSX, and then you can even share your Sunrise IDE files with your MegaFlashROM SD cartridge virtual hard drive that runs on openMSX. My first MSX emulator was the ruMSX. I've played it very long and found all kinds of system ROMs online, and my library of games got a lot bigger and bigger. So that's how I started. Then years later, the development for ruMSX came to a halt for a long time, and then I came across BlueMSX. That's a real good emulator in my opinion. It's very user friendly. You can simulate a lot of MSX machines. Their website, you can still check out all kinds of MSX machines and what kind of ROMs you need to emulate those exactly. But the last version they released was from 2009. We're gonna install them later. I'm gonna do it all from scratch, show you all the bumps you can face when installing these programs. Then also next to the BlueMSX, we have openMSX, and this emulator is still being updated to this day, and it's a terrific emulator. You can do a lot of functions, a lot more things you can do with the openMSX than with the BlueMSX. But still, I think for users that don't want to dive in that deep, would still prefer the BlueMSX, and I agree. But maybe with some explanations from my side, openMSX can be more accessible for you after these videos. I hope so. The openMSX has the preference for me because it can simulate the MegaFlashROM SCC plus SD cartridge. Wow, that's a long word. It's a cartridge you can put into a real MSX. If you own a real MSX, you can plug into this MegaFlashROM cartridge. Let's short it off. And on this cartridge is the SCC Plus chip for sound. So you have the best sound options for many games. And it also has a SD card in it, which you can put all your ROMs on, and it can load those ROMs via the cartridge into the MSX, and you can play them. And the games you can play, the list is humongous. I want to make a link between the BlueMSX and the openMSX. I want to be able to use SofaRun on both MSX emulators. SofaRun is a program that makes it easy for you to play games without having to place another ROM file in your openMSX or another ROM file in your BlueMSX and play it. You just start up your MSX, you get into the booting screen, you choose SofaRun, and from there on you can just go through the folders and, okay, I want to play this game. Okay, I want to play that game. And you just reset and then you go back to SofaRun. You're just in your MSX environment and you get a more MSX feel. SofaRun, that's just the holy grail, in my opinion. SofaRun is the holy grail that made games running on MSX so easy. You cannot simulate or emulate the MegaFlashROM cartridge on the BlueMSX. You somehow want all your ROMs together in one disk image. But what you can do in BlueMSX is create a Sunrise IDE hard disk drive. openMSX can also emulate this same Sunrise IDE. Via that way, we can transfer files over to openMSX. openMSX has a pre-configured MegaFlashROM. That sounds very nice, but it's damn hard because I've been struggling with this for months. This struggle has been done 2 years ago, so all this information has been lost a little bit because I haven't been busy with the MSX configurations for a long time. I just want this out in the open because on YouTube you can't find anything, and if you read stuff on the MSX forums, you get lost. You really get lost. There's this one forum that goes over more than 90 pages of information and dialogues between users and developers. You hardly get a clue of what to do and how to do it on that same MSX Research Center. There is a short description on how to create your own MegaFlashROM virtual SD cartridge, but it's not very detailed. And I finally got as far that I can use my Sunrise IDE from my BlueMSX and make it work in openMSX. Let's pretend we have a real MSX and we use one cartridge slot for the IDE Sunrise with an external hard drive that's actually connected to the first cartridge. And in the second cartridge slot, we place the MegaFlashROM. And then we boot up the MSX so it reads first the IDE with the hard disk drive. This makes it possible for you to copy files from your MegaFlashROM SD virtual SD card to the virtual IDE Sunrise hard disk. So instead of using a MegaFlashROM on openMSX, you use the IDE Sunrise sort of as a MegaFlashROM on your BlueMSX. The only thing you sometimes have to select is additional cartridges for sound modules or extra storage cartridges. I don't use openMSX that much anymore since I have a Mister, but it's a nice way to emulate and test new processes. That's what I want to show you, folks. Hope you enjoyed this long meandering story. It's gonna be a long ride, but by making these videos short, I hope it will stick better and make it easier for you to revisit. Before I go all the way there, I'll first show you all the websites to get all the files you need for this setting up and configuring, etc., etc. I hope you like this video. It's the start of a long list of tutorials on how to set up BlueMSX, openMSX, and connect them together. It's up to you what you will use eventually. Bye.